the cottage. Home away from home. A place where you get together with friends, have a few beers, have a few laughs, have some good food. We're making carne asada. And we're going step by step on this one. That's right. We're gonna be making the salsa, the guac. We're gonna be marinating the steaks. That's right, carne asada. Carne anada. Carne alada. Step 1 is making salsa. Well, this is a lot of tomatoes. You definitely don't need this many tomatoes. And the perfect tomato is actually a tomatilla. These are not tomatillas, these are Roma tomatoes. But you know what? Sometimes doing the wrong thing can be right. We are going to assemble a baking sheet of various tomatoes, white onions, jalapenos, and garlic. Slice and dice. Line a baking sheet with tin foil. Basically what we're going to be doing is roasting everything down on this sheet. So you want to drizzle it with olive oil once it's done. Now I'm just going to basically quarter this. Garlic. There's lots of ways to open a bulb of garlic. Henry knows all of them. You want to remove everything from the garlic. And the easiest way to do that is just by bashing it and taking off the outer skin. Voila. And the jalapenos, please. Garlic fingers. I could do one of tomatoes and one of onions and garlic and peppers, but you know what? Because as they roast, the juices are sort of gonna combine and go between the two. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna split sort of both between the two trays. And there we go. That's the name of the game. We got jalapenos, garlic, onion, and tomato sliced up, oiled, and spread across 2 trays. Next step, put them in the oven, low and slow. I have the oven set for 275. We're gonna wanna put them in there and check on them after an hour. After a while, switch the top and the bottom so that they all roast evenly. Maybe about half an hour in. After about an hour, you want to remove them, and they should look like this. You'll see here, we have our onions roasted, the tomatoes roasted, the garlic moist and delicious, the jalapeno peppers. At this point, just let them cool. When they've cooled down just a bit, not entirely, find the biggest bowl you can and dump everything in it. Basically what we're looking to do is marry everything together. Like so. Wrap it in plastic wrap and let it sit. And that way, any of the heat that comes off this will continue to soften without cooking. If you let it dry, you're gonna get them a little bit stiff. You want them soft so they can be mashed. Like so. After a few hours, you should have something that looks like this. A bit of a mess, really. But that's what we want. All those flavors and all those roasted vegetables to meld together and amalgamate in a delicious concoction of what is going to be salsa. Using your molcajete, or however it's pronounced, what you want to do is now pull out the pieces that have been stewing together for all that time. Start with the garlic. You might need to fish it out a little bit. We begin mashing. Now, is using this the most authentic way to be making salsa? Well, yeah, pretty much. Is it the most effective way? Not really. Zap it up and you get something like this. You can always whap it out on different speeds. Do a bit more chunky, a bit more thin, and then just mix it all together. This is our base. Enter the jalapenos. The jalapenos are not that spicy of a pepper, and really how much you want to add depends on exactly how much you want to put in to your salsa. Zapping them all up in the food processor or using the mortar and pestle to get them all combined, and then add little bits at a time. Stir it, taste it, see how spicy it is. Remember, right now all we're really measuring is the heat of the salsa. Salting the salsa, flavoring the salsa with lime and stuff like that, and adding cilantro to me, comes at the end. It's the easiest to do at the end. So add as much of the jalapenos as you want to cater to your own individual spiciness. Now that our heat is on point, it's time to consider the lime situation and the cilantro situation. Look, a lot of people don't like cilantro. I don't really know why, but it is so important when it comes to salsas. Do not forget it. You don't have to add that much if you don't want to. Chop it up, add a little bit, taste it. Look, tasting is the name of the game, people. You're making something to eat. Make sure it tastes good. Cilantro is grown in sand, probably. So make sure you rinse it before cutting it up. Augmenting flavor is so easy to do. Make sure every step of the way you're tasting, seeing what you like, seeing what tastes good and what doesn't. And there you go, salsa done. Carne Asada basically translates to grilled meat. Actually, no, it literally translates to grilled meat. Typically, it's done with flank or skirt steak, marinated for anywhere from 2 to 24 hours, and then grilled across hot charcoals, or a gas barbecue if you need to. I did not have flank steak or skirt steak at my grocery store, so we went with marinating steaks, inside rounds, sirloin tips. Not perfect, but you know what? No problem whatsoever, because what we're going to do is marinate them. A basic marinade for this consists of roughly the ingredients that you're going to be making it with. Salt, lime, garlic. That's really all you need. When it comes down to it, these are the 3 essential ingredients in carne asada or any good marinade. You need an acid to break down the tough, fibrous bits of the steak that might exist, salt for tenderizing the meat, and garlic for flavor. And that's really the essentials. But that doesn't mean that's all we need to marinate it with. Smoked paprika, chili powder, cayenne, a little bit of cinnamon, and of course, more fresh cilantro. In addition to this, lemon juice to go along with the limes, a little bit of lemon citron olive oil, honey to sweeten up the mix, white balsamic vinegar to add more acid and a bit of tartness, soy sauce for that deep, rich flavor when we barbecue, and finally, because I don't have fresh oranges, a can of mandarin oranges. Let's whip this together. You can use plastic bags or you can use a bin like this. I prefer a bin. It's a little bit easier to use, a little bit easier to make sure that your steaks are all laid flat there, your meat's all laid out flat. And if you don't have enough to cover everything, just every few hours, flip over the meat. Make sure it gets well covered. You'll see I'm just doing a rough farmer's chop to the garlic because ultimately this is a marinade. The smaller the pieces of garlic, the more spiciness comes out of the garlic. And salt is really all that's needed to add to this marinade to make it a little bit better. But I'm gonna add the salt at the end and I'm gonna bump it up with a few more flavors. Instead of the cayenne, I'm gonna add some of the leftover roasted jalapeno from the salsa. Taste it. There's nothing in there that's dangerous, and ultimately it's going to be soaking into your meat for a fair amount of time. Is it spicy enough? Is it salty enough? Does it need a bit more sweetness? When the marinade's done, we add our meat. Displacement. Even though it didn't seem like a lot of liquid, when the steak gets added, it tends to move up. There you go. Cover this, leave in the fridge for 2 to 24 hours. Tomorrow, we're barbecuing it up. At this point, we should have marinated the meat for about 24 hours. That means it's time to start the guacamole. And with everything, simplicity is best. Limes, avocados, onion, and salt. And of course, cilantro. That's really all you need for fantastic guacamole. I'm not one of the super chunky brothers. I mean, I am in real life, but not when it comes to guacamole. I like it a little more fine, but these people that I'm making this for probably enjoy chunky, so we're gonna make a little bit of a myriad of both. First up, we separate the avocados. There are many ways to remove the stones from an avocado. Ultimately, if they're difficult, yeah, these are too easy, but normally you can just crack it with this and twist it off, but these are very easy to come out. These are very good avocados. Score along the avocado meat, as it were, and make sort of a checkerboard pattern. Make sure not to cut your fingers, that'd be very painful. Then squeeze the back side so that all the little bits come out. Do this for 215 avocados. Avocado meat out. Next, onion. And we're gonna go a bit bigger than this actually. Preferably, I like red onion or even shallot. Shallot actually would probably be best. But in this case, we have a yellow onion, which is perfectly fine. When in doubt, switch knives halfway through. Grab a mixing spoon. They look like this. So in here we have our avocado, which should be ripened and soft, our onion, our lime, and our cilantro. It's gonna need a lot more lime, and then we always wanna salt last. So we're gonna do a bit more lime, and then like I said, we'll do salt to taste. Get your best friend Chris to help you squeeze the lime. Who could squeeze it manlier? Feel those juices. Oh, oh, my love, my darling. Ghosting the lime. When everything looks done, get your baby to smell it to make sure he approves. Henry, do you approve? They approve. Guacamole done. If you're like me and you have vegetarian friends and you want to give them an option while you're making your carne asada, mushrooms are a great option, but you might want to marinate them a little bit first before grilling them up. That's where we make a marinade. Korma, 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 chameleon. To remove all the air from the bag, just suck out the air. No, don't do that. Just use your fingers. You want to get the marinade in between those little crevices. It'll just make them softer and a bit more flavorful when you griddle them up. Finally, we're making refried beans, and that consists of a multitude of different things. Onion, black beans, a myriad of spices and flavors, salt, as well as a little bit of tomato paste. We're gonna start cooking these bad boys up, but first let's open the cans, drain them out. Get your pan hot, add some oil, and then the onion. Cook the onions until they're translucent. We don't want to start actually cooking them too much, right? We don't want caramelized onions. What we want is thin and translucent onions. In the meantime, get together your spice mix, chili powder, a little bit of cayenne, a little bit of paprika, maybe a little bit of cumin, and perhaps some cinnamon if you want to be fancy schmancy. Once the onions are translucent and sort of start cooked, we're going to add our spices. Now, you want to make sure the heat's not too high because they're going to burn pretty quick, but the idea here is we're toasting our spices. Get them aromatic and fresh. Continue stirring this. This is going to get chunked up pretty fast, and that's when we want to hit it with the tomato paste. Chunked up, tomato paste, tomato paste. And I'm gonna add some of whatever the hell this is, because I don't really know what this is. Once they're toasted and you can smell it all in the air, you wanna add your water. The idea of toasting them first and foremost is to get those spices all nice and flavorful. Then you hit it with the water. If you hit it with the water first, you're not gonna have the same flavor. Now, see this coloration? This is what we sort of identify as refried beans. This is when you wanna turn the heat back up and add your drained black beans. I turned 21 in prison, doing life without parole. Aren't you Mexican?
No, Harlan. Just because my last name's Santiago doesn't mean I'm Mexican.
Oh. At this point, you want to turn it back nice and low and let them start cooking off. The idea here is you want to start breaking down those beans, getting them nice and soft. Then, hit it with the backside of your spice bowl. We're gonna squish about half of them because you don't need to squish all of them, because if the beans are soft, they're gonna be delicious and break down on their own. Now you mash them. As you break down the beans, I'm not sure if it's gluten or just the fibers in them, they tend to sort of soften like this, and they thicken the refried beans themselves anyway. So if it's still a bit liquidy, this is what's gonna make it a bit thicker. Refried.
What's this?
Next, yogurt, mint, jalapeno or something, I'm thinking, right? Do you want to hand me a jalapeno, Carmen? Can you open that yogurt for me? We can do it. Final recipe. Video here.
Well, that's really funny.
Cooling. This is to go along with everything. Maybe some garlic in this too. Yeah, I'm gonna roast everything in there, and the peppers. It's tight, Chris. Throw your steaks onto a scorching hot barbecue. Now, in an ideal world, really charcoal would be best because it gets really, really hot. But if you have to, a gas barbecue will suffice. The problem is, it might overcook your meat before you get that really nice sear. The blackened lines on the steak are really what you want when it comes to carne asada. That's where all the flavor is. Once these are grilled up, put them on a plate to rest and sit. You don't want to overcook them. Then, slice them and serve. And the really important people who are critiquing the food. Isn't that what it's all about?
It was delicious.
Delicious. So good. Wait.
You gotta hold up your sign that says,
Yes,
I am under duress. What did you think on a scale out of 10?
It was a 9.
9?
Yeah.
Henry?
Henry?
It was a 3. I didn't have any.
Impressive.
I am particularly impressed with the salsa.
Spicy
The
salsa.
spicy salsa. It is very well
Canada
made. And the refried beans.
I was
I
particularly,
believe the correct translation is supposed to be well-fried beans, but
as well as these. These are incredible. What are they called again?
All right, everybody say goodbye.
Goodbye.
I think I'm gonna have a hard time with the hot challenge, or what is it, spicy challenge? What we're doing?
Yeah, the hot ones.
Hot ones challenge. Because this was delicious but spicy. So good.
But you also loaded up on your own
I think I might do that hot ones challenge with you
You
guys.
should.
I don't think you made enough salsa, but I like your guacamole, so.
You like the guacamole?
That's
That's new.
And she's a guacamole aficionado.
And she's an aficionado. Look, she cleaned the bowl.
Funny.
Let's just watch you eat it real quick.
There's another bowl, Karma. Another bowl.
You eat guacamole right off the fork.